The Fearless Launching Show was created to answer the question, how can I launch my big idea to the world in the most simple, straightforward way possible and reach more of the right people? I'm your host, Ann Samoylov, and I've been helping 6- and 7-figure business owners launch for over a decade. And while I love geeking out about improving launches, new launch strategies, what's working, what's not working, I'm also obsessed with exploring the heart, the mind, the challenges of running your own business. And that's what we're going to do each and every week. I want to show you how to launch that course or coaching program or other creative work and navigate the journey of being an online entrepreneur. So if you're ready for some new perspectives, some new stories around launching, well, I can't wait to share those with you. Let's get into today's episode. Hey there, and welcome back to the Fearless Launching Show. Today is another Refocus session. It's Monday, you know what time it is, or honestly, any day's good for a little bit of refocus. So today I wanted to focus on the topic of blame because I feel like there's a lot of blame, self-blame. There's lots of different types of blame that can happen as you're running your business and as emotions run high on launches and different projects. I think that among team members, from leader of the team to the team members, it just happens across the board. I think blame is one of those universal things that just happens when people are trying to get something done all together and something goes off the rails a little bit. Sometimes even when it doesn't go off the rails, there's blame. And it's not necessarily a good thing. So today's refocus session is all about blame because, and this is specifically for launches, this is what can happen during any sort of launch. But like I said, any sort of project where you have many people working on it or even just yourself, that is blame. Blame can come up when little things get messed up, when big things get messed up, when targets aren't reached, when goals aren't achieved, when just stress can erupt. When too many things get on your plate, that can cause blame to just pop up. And I have been on both sides of this, but I've been the one who's maybe warded off blame because I saw another supervisor or lead on a team wanting to blame one person or a group of people or whatever the case is. And then I've also been on the team when maybe a leader on the team or someone in that kind of lead position has put the blame on me. I've experienced that several times. And it wasn't even for anything. I want to make sure it wasn't for anything bad, but it was like very important for them to say it was your fault. So one thing I want to just share is that in the past, I've been mostly on the side of the person who's been running the launch. I've usually been running the launch, managing the launch, and thinking how awful it is if someone leaves during a launch, right? If someone leaves in the midst of a launch or disappears during a launch, oh my gosh, that is the worst thing. How could they do that? How could they let someone go? So there are two different things. They disappear, and then the other one is if they just decide no longer to work, and then they let you know about it. There's two different, obviously, if someone ghosts the launch, that's one thing. If someone lets you know, that's another. And so there are lots of places where blame can erupt just on that. We've definitely had people leave teams before in visual effects, on launches that I've worked on, with teams that I've worked on. And the first thing I want to tell you here is that blame halts progress. And that's really why I wanted to talk about this today on this refocus session, because I want you to think of a time that maybe you've blamed someone and think about what happened directly after that. It likely halted the entire progress of the project or slowed it down unnecessarily. And it doesn't matter if that blame was correct, incorrect, emotional, non-emotional, factual or not. It stops everything from moving forward. And honestly, especially if you're an entrepreneur, getting your launch to where you want it to be. It stops you from remembering the little detail, the little thing you wanted to say at the end of your webinar that isn't really in your script, but you love saying it. It's the thing that halts you, just the little details. And that's a huge one. But it halts your progress also in terms of you're literally not working on your launch. If you're working on the blame, you are working on who did this wrong and why, and let's get to the bottom of it. On a launch, it's very important to be like a train. So you're a train that's moving forward, and what that looks like is that you might run over some roadkill on the way. You might have some sputters in the engine, but you're still going down the track. And so any blame is almost like trying to back a train up that's speeding along, or at least just going on along at a nice click. And so I'm always of the mind to not get into that blame game on projects. And I do my best to nicely and let people know, hey, let's just move on. It doesn't matter that this person did this. Let's get someone else on it. Let's forget about what has happened right now. Let's put this to the side and discuss it after the project, the launch, whatever. And I think it is more important to say, okay, here's what we can do better next time, but let's just get off of the blame game because we're losing our momentum. I don't think you can really blame anything where people are leaving for their various reasons. I think that just happens. People just disappear. I can remember this woman who left the team that I was just working on. Thankfully, they were not on my project, but when I heard that they left, I was so sad. And I was trying to think, gosh, if they had left during Force, which is one of the TV shows that's coming out actually on the 1st, which is only in a few days. Oh my God. That if she had left during that, I think I would have cried, but I would have never blamed her or said, you are the cause of this not delivering or something like that. I think that's the main thing. I know just working in corporate, working on teams, sometimes people really like to figure out who's at fault for things. But I think putting a pin in it or making a note of what can be done better next time, that's more productive. People really just like finding fault and figuring out, well, who did this? Because then the next time we won't do that. Now, there may be some things that you're like, okay, we're not going to use that designer next time because their turnaround time was bad, or we'll talk to them because their turnaround time and the quality, it just didn't match up, or a copywriter or an ads person. Maybe they use the entire budget in a day. And so for those, there's some clear cut, okay, we're not doing that again. So there are those types of things you can decide on in the moment during a launch, but no one person is responsible for your launch. So even if you have a bad launch, you cannot blame it on whatever aspect maybe didn't work as well, because that would mean that they have the power. You actually don't want anybody to have this like power over your entire launch. And since there are a series of events that lead up to you having this launch, and the success is based on so many different things. All right, just to wrap up, because I can really just keep going on this blame issue, because I've just seen so much blame. I've seen so much so many people blaming themselves for things. I have seen people blame so many other people as well for failings in launches, in projects, in delivery deadlines, and all of that kind of stuff. And while I am absolutely of the mind that someone should take responsibility for when they have caused kind of a snafu of some sort, I think it starts with during a project, you ask, okay, I'm not sure what happened here. What can we do better next time? I think that's okay. But we have to be really careful we don't get stuck in whatever that thing was and let it throw everything off, because a launch isn't just that one thing that somebody may have not done. Like, there is no way that one person can control your entire launch. And if they are, that definitely means you need to refocus and think about how to set things up better for yourself next time so that it doesn't weigh on just one person's shoulders. And we'll be getting into more. Blame is one of those weird things that will come back up again. when we're talking about important aspects or elements of being a good leader, things to work on. So as we wrap up this refocus session, definitely ask yourself that weekly question. What am I going to do this week? What do I want to focus on this week? What do I want to achieve by the end of the week? Pick one thing to do right now, if you can. And then take a little bit of time, just do a little maybe journaling. Like, where do you blame in life and your business? And what could you do better next time instead of blaming? And that is it. I'll see you on Thursday with another episode, but I hope you enjoyed this little refocus session. As always, check the show notes because we got a few free refocus sessions you can sign up for with me every single month. So if they're available, they'll be at the link that's in the show notes. And that is it, my friends. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll talk to you soon.